you're very welcome, Marian.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you here. I'm Jane Bulfin, and I'll be talking to you today about life and times way back when in Dundrum, which is a gorgeous village.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Are you closer to Dundrum now or Clonoulty?
Half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah.
And you grew up.
I
where-
grew
where
up
your
in the
native
same
was?
townsland where I'm living now, in Carhu. Yes, I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
My mother and father farmed there. I had a younger sister and younger brother, Anne and Tom, and we farmed there, and we worked hard during the summers and that, feeding calves. And my father had begun to the creamery in Rossmore. We'd be turning swarts of hay and that, and washing churns when he'd come home, and bread had to be baked and all that kind of, helping my mother in general, I suppose, you know, taking tea to the meadow in a gallon, sweet gallon. Yeah.
What age would you be?
Sure, I suppose as soon as we could nearly walk, we were doing lots of work, and if the word no didn't exist, you didn't tell your parents no, you weren't going to do anything. I suppose 8 or 9, 10, you know, all around us, everyone was doing the same, you know.
Yeah.
We had a local shop, and we would go up there for gallon sweets and things
What's
like
a gallon
that.
sweet?
There was a gallon, you know, just an ordinary tin gallon, and she used to have hard sweets in it.
Okay.
Kind of rocky sweets,
Yeah.
and we called them gallon sweets. And she kept all those gallons in a pile up along until the farmers were doing the hay in the summertime, and she'd give them out, and you made the tea at home in the gallon, and you brought it out to the meadow.
Right.
When them sweets were gone out with the tins,
Yes.
they were all kept.
Yeah.
You brought it to the meadow.
You'd use them for bringing the tea.
Bringing the tea to the meadow, and the tea was lovely and sweet because you had the taste, as well as the sugar, you had the taste of all the gallon sweets in it.
Very good. But did you get any of the sweets?
Oh no, not, they were all gone at that stage, you know. Any penny we'd find, we'd do that, you know.
So
Yeah.
you buy them by the weight.
I suppose,
Or
I don't know
scoop.
what way she used to sell them
Yeah.
now, I don't know.
Was there any games when you were growing up that
We
girls
used-
played different from boys or that?
We all played kind of together, you know, Tig, and played in school. We had our own local school, Carrow, and we played Tig and hopscotch and all those things, and solitaire at home in the night, and snakes and ladders and all that kind of thing.
Very good. So no TV.
No TV until about, I don't know, I was about maybe 9 or 10 or 11 when we got the first black and white television. And it was only turned on for matches and the news. And it was turned off, and that was it.
So you
black
didn't
and
see
white.
any children's.
There was no children's programs as such back then. Not at all, not until later years when I had my children, eldest children, they're in the late 40s, in the middle to late 40s now. They had Wonderly Wagon and Bosco, and that was it. There was nothing like there is now.
Yeah.
Television finished at whatever time, 10 o'clock in the night, I suppose, maybe 11, and that was it.
And as you say, matches and the news.
The news.
And that was it.
And that was it, turned off.
I'd say it was a huge change.
Oh, such a huge change. And when the colour television came in, then people were afraid to nearly to look at it because you'd all the blood, and thought the blood is real, the blood and the guts and everything, and women were talking about it.
Were they?
Yeah, it was a big conversation. We had our own local ICA guild in Carhu, and there was a big conversation. They were advising people not to look at it. It wasn't right. Yeah, we lived in the farm, and we grew all our own vegetables, and you had to tend the turnips and all that kind of thing.
So the girls did a lot of outside
They
work.
did a lot of outside work, you know, because what else would they be doing, you know? I mean, you all worked on the farm together, everybody, you know.
It was good to help inside the house now.
Yeah, we were. Of course, houses were basic that time, you know. There were no toilets or anything in houses, you know. It was cement floors, and you washed out the floors with scrub brush, you know, and that was got down your knees there, and you washed that out once a week. My father made a pit in for the potatoes and that kind of thing in the winter. We killed our own pig in January. And killed your own chickens. My mother had broilers. And they were the ones, because they'd be fierce weight in them. They could be 12-pound weight, but there'd be no fat. So they'd be killed and singed over the fire with, you know, bits of paper put into the stove, and singed in off the downs of the chicken and all that. Boiled the chicken. You didn't roast the chicken, you boiled.
So she had a stove, or did she cook over an open fire?
Oh no, we had the stove at this stage, yeah.
But she didn't use the roasting, that was for bread.
Oh yeah, the oven was only used for that, yeah. you know, that kind of thing. You know, it was all boiled, everything was boiled, yeah.
But you know, you wouldn't mind more, you'd eat
Well,
more.
you didn't mind, but actually the food, the chicken was nicer because it was moist. It wasn't anyway dried out.
Yeah.
We had the bacon and cabbage. We had bacon and cabbage nearly every day. It would be a rare occasion you'd have a chicken. You lived on bacon and cabbage, you know.
Yeah.
Never hardly ate fish as a young child, you know.
Okay.
No, and my mother baked everything, sweet cakes, everything, you know.
Yeah.
And to buy a cake, she bought a Swiss roll one time for my birthday, I remember, and it was like heaven, you know.
Yeah.
Because
You'd
we
never
had one, and I remember cutting it up and put it on the brown bread and butter, you know, putting it on that, slicing it, because it was gorgeous. Silly things, you know.
Yeah, and you know, nowadays people would pay for the organic food you were eating without thinking.
Yeah, but I bake all my own brown bread, you know.
Still.
I do, oh God, I do, yeah, and my own homemade spotted dick, you know, with a cross in the middle of it. Yeah, I do, I always do that. I baked two yesterday, yeah.
Wow. And would you have had to do your own sewing a lot?
Oh, your own sewing. My mother knitted an awful lot, and we all did as well.
Yeah.
And your own sewing, everything was made. I remember when I was years after that, before I got married, you'd be going to dinner dances, and you'd make your own dress, you know, and you get ends of material in the shop, you know. There were certain shops, the Heaton's and Turles, and that ends of material, maybe 2 yards or more, and you get it out of that. And I used to make clothes for my own children out of ends of material. Yeah, you did that, but that was part of the norm, you know.
Yeah, everyone's the same.
Everyone is the same.
And was there any notable incidences in the area that you'd remember being gossiped about now, beyond the colour TV?
No.
You'd
We had a woman near us, a gossip, you know, and there were 3 Marian Ryans, and if she got their letters, she would have to go around to everyone in the locality and tell them what that woman's letter was about, but you won't hear what her letter was about. But that was the only thing, you know.
Yeah.
She was a married woman, she had no family, but she was a local gossip kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Well, we just worked away. Everyone, all of my generation, we just worked away at home, you know, and we don't think nothing about bringing in fuel for the fire and things like that. It was just a part of life.
Did you go on to secondary school at that time?
I went on to secondary school and to Doon in the County Limerick. That would be only about 10 miles from me, you know.
Okay.
And a lot of even in the parish of Rossmore that would have gone to Doon, and was passing the door. And I went over there to the nuns, and I did a commercial course then in Kappa White Vocational School.
Okay.
Yeah, after that.
And so you learned to type?
I learned to type on the old typewriters.
And so what was the first job?
Well, the first job was below here in Sutton's, as it was, Tipperary Co-op store now below on Goose Cross.
It was great, like, to have the typing and everything.
It was, yeah, but it wasn't anything as convenient as now.
No. But you know the way, say, your mother's generation, they didn't have those opportunities.
They hadn't any opportunity at all, and that unless her sisters went away. One of them became a nurse, she went to England, but the other one became a nun, and a nurse after that. But it was a lot of them went the nuns and that, or the priests, just to get away, to get an education, to get out, because there wouldn't be a hope.
Yeah.
They'd be only working maybe for farmers or in a shop or something, you know.
Yeah. And so to get any, if you were younger.
My mother now would not have gone on to secondary school, you know,
Yeah.
or that at all of any description.
Would there have been any around you of maid matches still left? Anyone that you knew of in the area?
No, I didn't know any. My grandmother was a maid match, my
Yeah.
mother's mother. My 2 grandmothers, there were matches made.
That's the time, really.
That was
your
the time, you know,
yeah.
my father's mother, she was living where I am now, and her husband came from Maroe in the County Limerick. It was a mid-match. And the same with my other grandmother, 2 neighbouring parishes. She was matched up with someone else, and she had 3 farms, and that was the way, you know, they got a man, there could be 3 or 4 men in the one house, you know, and it'd be grand to get him out of there and get him married.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that was the way with my grandmother at home. She was on her own, and yeah, a mid-match.
Mid-match. And do you remember your grandparents?
I do indeed, yeah.
And so did you think that it worked out well?
It did work out well, but I mean, you wouldn't have any
Opinion as a child?
Yeah, you just did your things, and it did work out well, I suppose. Yeah, they had families and that, and life was harder back then for them then as well, you know, and there was no love shown maybe to their children like there is now, Do you know, I mean, there's all this thing now with you must show your love to your children, but they all grow up fine adults and everything without anyone mollycoddling them, you know. There wasn't an awful lot of time for that.
Yeah, it was a tough life.
It was a hard life, I suppose, but no one knew any better. People did a lot of courdic then. They went around to houses. There was always someone in our house, you know.
Yeah.
And we went and visited the neighbours as well, or you'd be told, you know, don't have anything, don't eat now in that house, you know, don't eat, you know, we're making a show of us.
That you were going out starving.
You were going out starving, looking for something to eat, and the poor woman would be after cooking up a storeroom, you know, cakes and buns, and you couldn't, and you could just smell them, and you would be dying for one, but you couldn't have one, because you'd be making a show of, you know, we hadn't anything, you know, that we had to go out hungry into someone else's house and eat it. We had to come home starving.
And there was probably neighbours in your house eating their heads off.
Eating their heads off, and they'd come in there. You know, you'd be saying the rosary and that in the night time. Rosary every night.
Every night?
Every night. Oh, God, yeah. There's still a lot of people that do it. But we don't do it now. But we did when we got married first. We were very religious, and we do go to Mass in Rossmore, but we don't do it now. But every night the rosary was said, come hell or high water. And whoever walked in when you were saying the rosary joined in.
Okay.
And if you were having the supper when someone came in, they joined in.
Yeah.
It might be a boiled egg, or if you were lucky, you'd have, you know, your own lettuce and scallions and things like that, and you'd make up a salad of your own, you know, the kind of thing.
So it was open house, really?
All houses were like that. People are fierce. Now people, no time for anyone. They just pass up. And my mother used to say we were living in a bit in the fields. If I was living inside the road, I'd see anyone. I'd see more people. You'd see nobody because nobody comes in.
Yeah, nobody's walking the roads. That's what someone else said.
Nobody's walking the roads, and if they are, they'll pass you by and they won't come in.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit of a chatterbox, and I like it.
Well, we used to be sent down to visit the older people, widows on their own. My mother would hop us out on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You'd go here and you'd go there and you'd go there just to check in on them and think. So we got great stories going on.
You would get great stories. And my father and mother used to go down across the fields, as it was, down to Dundrum. There was a cinema down there. It was owned by John J. O'Dwyer. And they used to go to the pictures down there.
When you were a child?
When I was a child.
Right.
That was a novelty.
And did you ever go?
No. I wouldn't say there was any children's films. It was adult films, you know. They'd go off down, especially in the summertime. Down through the fields, I thought there was a car in the yard. The car wouldn't be used like we'd be using now.
It was like the TV.
Yeah. I mean, even that the car was in the yard. Now the car is in the yard and you go up the road there, you'd have to get into it, open the gate. They walked everywhere as much as they possibly could, you know.
And the bike.
And the bicycle. My uncle used to cycle up to us, and he got a fine on the bike coming up from down near Salhead. He cycled up to our house about 9 miles, and he was single at the time, and he got a fine. Guard Buckley and White fined him for not having lights in the back of the bike.
Oh dear.
What we did back then, see, when Europe joined up with all the rest of the countries, the whole country changed automatically overnight. Oh yeah. I mean, we went to Mass in a horse and trap.
Right.
Come hell or high water.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as staying at home because there's raining or there's frost. If there was frost there, you walked 3 miles to Rossmore to Mass. But you go into the horse and trap. We went visiting my grandmother in Salhead over the 9 miles in the horse and trap. We'd be counting the stars as we'd be going along in the night, coming home and all that kind of thing, you know. There was no central heating in the room. Then when you came home, then you had hot water bottles to go to bed and you know, all that kind of thing.
And if there was a big family, you'd be sharing your bed. Anyway.
You would, and you know, we were walking to Mass. The neighbours would be walking to Mass as well, and you'd be chat be one after the other there in the horse and traps going over to Mass, and people be talking away and all that kind of way.
Sounds like a great community.
It was a great community feel in the countryside.
Yeah.
Are you from the countryside? Yeah.
I am.
You know farming family. You know everybody.
Depend on each other.
You depend on each other. You know everybody, and everyone is there for everyone. Yeah, we had a great time growing up, lots of stories.
Very different now.
Yeah, Christmas morning, the mother had had this spotted dick made, a lovely fancy one, the day before. There'd be margarine and everything in it, sugar and maybe, you know, she'd have spices in it, you know, and cherries and things like that, where the ordinary spotted dick would just be currants in it and, you know, for the ordinary day, but this there'd be sugar and things and it'd be lovely. And you come back from Mass then on Sunday morning, And you'd have some of that before the dinner, you know.
And what would Christmas dinner look like?
We'd have turkey. There was no ham, turkey. Even though we were on a farm, we didn't have it. Because the turkeys were very big.
Yeah.
We reared our own turkeys, you see. My mother took the turkeys in Thurles, Tipperary, Cashel, the neighbouring places. She went to the markets before Christmas. We had all our own fowl of every description, ducks, everything, and geese. And we'd have our own turkey, but the turkeys would be big, you know. So, I mean, there was only 6 of us with my grandmother, you know. So, yeah, but there was no ham. Didn't know anything about having a ham until I had 2 children. We didn't have a ham then because we had only 2 small children. But when I had more, then we did to make it stretch because the turkeys were smaller. You stretched it, and maybe that's the same with everyone, but people don't think of these things.
Well, I don't think people ate as big servings.
They didn't. It was lovely. There was no stuffing or anything like that.
So you basically had your tea and your spotted egg.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the dinner.
The dinner.
Would you have had a supper later?
You'd have a supper later on, maybe boiled egg or something like that, just a small thing, and homemade brown bread and all that, you know.
And were there many presents at Christmas?
We'd have, Santa would come, but to be honest, we'd all get maybe 1 or 2 things each. Yeah. And that was it, you know. Yeah, I mean, the doctor before, there was a doctor in Dundrum, and if you were very sick or anything, as an adult, I give my mother Guinness and milk as a tonic. So my father used to be buying her Guinness, them small little stubby bottles, you know, Guinness and milk for a tonic, you know, and all them kind of things, you know. But, there's a lot of memories. I turned hay with a wheel rake out in the field, you know. With a horse, yeah.
Wow.
And the handle here, and I let up and down the hay, you know, gather it and then let it off again. Yeah, and they'd be piking that. Then it was all piking. There was no bales or... The bales came in 72 or 73. My father died in 72, so I suppose, 72 or 3. We started baling hay at home then, but he was gone by then, you know. We were making the pikes, and we'd make a reek out in the field then. In another part of the farm up on the hill for the cattle up there, and the dry cows would be put up there, and then they'd be brought down across, they'd be calving back down to the farm, you know. But all the hay was brought in a float, a horse and float, a cart, yeah, and you'd wheel it up along to slide off of it, yeah. All them kind of things, you know. God. You'd walk around the perimeter of the hay barn above just to keep down the hay, you know, had to be forked up, and for to make a kind of a ridge around, you know. Yeah. Lots of things.
You're not the youngest of your family, are you?
I'm the eldest.
You're the eldest.
Yeah.
So, did your mother have your siblings at home?
She had them in Tipperary town, yeah, maternity nurse home, yeah.
Because some people were still having them at home.
Oh, they were, yeah, no, we went to town, yeah. But they'd have a man. We hadn't any car at the time, so then there was 2 neighbours with cars, and they'd be asked in advance to keep a certain time free, you know, that you know you could go at any time because to take you in.
And was the churching still?
Oh, that was there.
Explain it.
The baby was taken out of the hospital with the grandparents, the ones that were standing for the child. They'd be there in the church, and the baby would be taken back into the hospital then once it was baptised. There was no such thing as waiting. The mother could be in the hospital for 2 weeks, and there'd be no such thing as waiting until the mother come home and then another month before to be baptised or anything like that. So after that, then you had to be blessed. You had to be blessed before you were let back into the church.
Lovely.
She couldn't come out and be there with her child being baptised. Father was there, the grandparents, and the baby was taken back in. But it was a sin to have a child, you know, the kind of way she had to have churched.
Okay.
And then when she'd go back, she'd tell you all these stories, you know, go back to confessions, then the priest would want to know, is there anything happening yet? You know, another one. Yeah. They're the things, you know. They have it so easy now.
So strange.
So strange, but that's what they were at the time. Hard times. Women weren't taught much of.
You were second-class citizens.
Oh, very, and a lot of, still are, I suppose, in a lot of ways. But I see my sons now, how different they are to their father even. Yeah. And he was different to his father. Was they're completely hands-on. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Thank you. That was fantastic, Marian. Thank you very much.
Okay.